Video here, we are going to be going over another math example that you might see on your ASVAB test. This particular question happens to come from asvabpracticetest.com, and a link to that will be in the description below. This question says, Blair's average, or arithmetic mean, on 2 physics tests is 7. What should Blair's score be on the next test in order to have an overall average of 8 for all tests? Alright, so as always, you get the most benefit from these if you press pause and actually try and work up the solution on your own. So do that now, try and get the answer, and then come back here and we'll work it all together. Alright, so hopefully you attempted it on your own now. And so what are we asking here? What is this question actually asking for? They want to know the average, or they are saying rather, that the average of 2 scores equals 7. So first we should be asking ourselves, okay, well, what does the average actually mean? Average means that you take all the things that you have, you add them up together, and then you divide that total by the total number of things that you had. So in this case, she's saying, or the question is saying that Blair had 2 tests. I will call that first test as X and the second test as Y. And the average of these tests equals 7. So again, the average means that you take the total number of tests and you add them together, and then you divide by the total number of tests that there were, so in this case 2. And this whole thing equals 7. The average of her first 2 tests equals 7. And now what we want to know is, what should Blair's score be on the next test in order to have an average of 8 for all the tests? So now we're going to introduce another test called test Z. Alright, so now we're saying is we have test X plus Y plus Z, and all those divided by 3, because now there's 3 tests, that should equal 8. Alright, and now what we want to do is we want to solve for Z. We want to figure out what number Z needs to be in order to make this 8, in order to make this new equation here of 8. Alright, so first thing we want to do is we're going to try and solve essentially for X and Y. Why do we want to do that? Well, in order to solve for Z, we kind of need to get this X and Y out of here. We don't really know what X and Y is, but what we do know is that we have an X and Y here, and we have an X and Y there, so we might be able to use that somehow. So let's first try and get this X and Y all by itself on one side. And in order to do that, really all we need to do is multiply both sides by 2, and that will be multiplied by 2. So the 2's will cancel out there, and for this top equation, what we're going to have, I'm going to start, let me do a better arrow there. I'm going to start drawing it over there. Alright, so on the top here, what we are going to be left with is X plus Y equals, well, 7 times 2 equals 14. So X plus Y equals 14. Alright. Now let's try and do something similar down here. Alright, let's try and do something similar down here where we can get the X and Y all by itself. So first thing we need to do is multiply both sides by 3. That way those 3's will cancel out. And I'm going to multiply this side by 3. So now I'm going to have a new equation that says X plus Y plus Z equals 8 times 3, which will be 24. Okay, and now if I want to get the X and the Y all by itself, alright, or actually I don't even need to do that. Really, I could just say, we see right up here that X plus Y equals 14. So this X plus Y right there, really we could just substitute in 14 for that. So 14 plus Z equals 24. And now it's just a matter of, again, solving for Z, solving for what the test of, or what the score of this new test needs to be in order to get the total average of 8. So if we solve for Z, we just need to subtract 14 from both sides. Well, those 14's will cancel out, and we are going to be left with Z equals 24 minus 14 is 10. So Blair needs to have a 10 on her next score in order to get a total average of 8. And that is how you would solve this problem here.